Hey YouTube, Joeboy here. So, chapter 919 of One Piece is out. So if you haven't checked out that chapter yet, I suggest that you do so because I will be spoiling you. Now that you have, let's begin. Oh my god, guys. This might have been the greatest theory ever confirmed. Now, it's not necessarily important for a theory to be right. It's about creating the illusion of truth. But when I think of the greatest theories ever made that was confirmed, I'm thinking, you know, Big Mom 8, Mother Carmel and the orphans, and Momonosuke and Kinemon are actually from the past and got teleported 20 years into the future. I just want to give a huge shout out to Marco OPT, guys. If you guys don't know, he's been doing it for a long time. He doesn't make many videos, but when he does, he's very, very thorough and original. And he blew this one out of the park. About 3 weeks ago, I mean, he's essentially straight up called it. But I see so many people on the internet rabbling and getting their pitchforks out about time travel in One Piece. They're freaking out, and I just want to be a voice of reason. I want to calm everyone down. It seems like I do this for every arc, right? I feel like I've been transported back into Whole Cake Island doing damage control, but I really don't think that this is damage control. I think that this is straight up facts. You have no need to worry. Now, when it comes to other stories that deal with time travel, it can be very tough to do. It's often problematic. You create all sorts of issues. I get it. But I really feel as though nobody's really thinking about it in terms of what the reveal just was for One Piece. They're just copying and pasting a comment that they saw someone else saying and worrying because it's just cool to worry now. Just calm down, okay? When it comes to these stories, the problem is when the characters have the ability to go back and change the past. When a character who already exists goes back, that's when paradoxes potentially occur, and that's when stories get ruined. But in One Piece, what has been confirmed so far is that the samurai and Momonosuke came from the past and traveled to the future. There's no issues that arise from this kind of time travel. Essentially, just imagine a character in One Piece, say Luffy. He decides to disappear off the face of the earth for 20 years. It doesn't even matter whether he ages or not. He goes into an underground cavern. Nobody knows that he exists. Nobody knows where he is. He reappears, and guess what? No paradoxes, nothing changed. Luffy just disappeared for a number of years. There's no such thing as warning people of the past because generally speaking, the past histories are recorded. Now I understand that some people may just be concerned with the general idea of time travel, and even if they're traveling to the future now, if they were to travel to the past, then it would be a problem. They're worried about that. But I think that Oda did this very purposefully, and that the ability is only in one direction, and I have a way to logically reason it. And I think that given this rationale, you would have to have very, very little faith in Oda for him to create some sort of paradox. So, going back to the samurai, right? Some ability, some time travel ability transported them to the future, and also has the ability to transport them into the past. Let's just make that assumption. Then in the moment that they got sent 20 years into the future, why didn't they use that same ability to go into the past and save all of their retainers and lords' lives? So again, guys, we are assuming here that whatever this power is, it is possible for it to go in both directions. The person who used this would know that, I would assume, and your immediate reaction to being in danger and having your friends around you dying would be to use that power to save them. If it were possible. I think that Oda would have literally had to spend zero time thinking about this whatsoever in order to not have the characters choose this course of action if it were possible, which leads me to believe that it's not. Whatever this is, however it is explained, it is in one direction. You cannot go to the past, you can only go to the future. So yeah, now that we have this established, I am extremely confident in Oda and confident that we have no reason to worry about awkward paradoxes forming, ruining the story of One Piece. Now the larger question is, how did Momonosuke and the rest of the samurai go to the future? You know, even going back to Marco's theory, he made the supposition that the samurai and Momo were from the past, but he didn't really have a good answer for how they could have gotten to the future in the first place. And after this chapter, we're set with the same question. So in a world in which Oda decides to choose the way that JB likes theoretically the best, This power is not something that can be used very often, even though there's really no issues with traveling to the future. I just don't want to see people from the Void Century having a reason to possibly exist in the future, or any sort of... I want this to be a power that is just hard to use. It is limited in some way. It's dangerous to use. It's very, very unique. So to just throw out an idea that I like, it is not likely, in fact if it's right I will be completely shocked, but just throw out an idea. I hope, kind of, on the inside, that the Devil Fruit which did this, yes, Devil Fruit power which did this, is Foxy's Slow Beam. I've always thought it was strange that out of all the Devil Fruits that exist, Law's Fruit is special. Law's Fruit is special because he has an ability which, if he ever used it, would cost him his life. And I've always thought to myself, wouldn't it be cool if other Devil Fruits had these other secret hidden techniques which were very powerful, more powerful than their normal abilities, but extremely dangerous to use, whether it costs extreme amount of lifespans or straight up killed them. So take Foxy's fruit and just give it a power like that, right? A better version of Foxy's power that if he used, or if anybody who had his Devil Fruit used, they would essentially die immediately. So Foxy's abilities allow him to shoot a beam which slows people down, but if you notice that when he uses the ability, everyone else moves at normal speed. Now take that and you multiply it times 1,000,000. You take a beam which slows a person down till they are frozen in time. While they aren't aging and they can't react, the world around them ages. Now I'm sure some people might bring up something like, well, where did their bodies go during all this time? I'm sure Oda could just make shit up if he wanted to. We know that Oden Kozuki was defending them, told them to go run to a specific spot. Maybe they went to a hiding spot someplace that nobody ever thought to look, and then use the ability, and that's just where they were for 20 years. My other unique idea that I have is that we've already speculated that there's something off with Otsuru, that maybe she's some kind of mythical creature. But who has the ability to shapeshift into a person. A mythical creature which has the ability to shapeshift into a person could be a nine-tailed fox, which would be perfect to appear somewhere in Wano, given its huge ties to Japanese mythology. And so a nine-tailed fox also has the ability, and many various lores, to influence time. Again, here I'm just spitballing. Another interesting idea actually comes from a theory that Anime Fan Talk made 4 years ago involving Fujitori's Gravity Devil Fruit. It involves gravity and time dilation. It's not something that I'm fully versed with, but it's theoretically possible to go forward in time. Of course, I'm sure a lot of people now are speculating some kind of time fruit, which I'm hoping only goes in one direction. That's fine with me, or some cool natural phenomenon of Wano, like a pool which allows you to, teleport you to the future in some way. That would be crazy. I've even seen some people mention a possibility of it being related to hockey in some way. I won't say that I'm a huge fan of that, but I mean, it's probably possible. Honestly, guys, I'm expecting Oda to blow my mind here, and that for nobody to get the correct answer. But we're 8 minutes and 30 seconds into this video already, and we've only talked about the very end of this chapter, and there was all sorts of other cool details. This chapter was hilarious. I don't know if you guys laughed as much as I did, but I lost my mind with the entire lead up to the final reveal where Law is sort of egging Luffy on, making him think that Kinemon was dead and a ghost. But while I was laughing, Law said something that is potentially important. I'm not really sure because the two translations that I've read don't give me the same impression. But in one translation, it was kind of implied that Law is Shutenmaru, that he is the one who was stealing from Kaido's crew. He is that thief. And so I have a couple different ideas. It's straight up possible that Law is Shutenmaru. When the official translation comes out, I'll get a more definitive opinion about what it is that I think of this particular line from the chapter. It's also possible that Law was working with Shutenmaru in some capacity, like using his name. It's also possible that he straight up stole this person's identity and he's an actual character that exists. But me and Revujo agree that Oda should have made a bigger deal about Law being Shutemaru. If that was the case, it seems so low-key. Or shouldn't have really made it such a huge deal in the story in the first place if he was just gonna casually admit that it was Law later. It's like we really don't see a payoff for hyping us up about this character in the first place. So I would lean towards right now that even if Law is involved with Shutemaru is some other character, potentially a friend of Kinemon. But moving on to another part of the chapter, along with the theory confirmation of time traveling, another theory which was essentially confirmed in this chapter was one that I talked about a while ago, a couple months ago, about the 7 samurai of Wano. It's not actually the 7 samurai, it's the 9 samurai, but it's basically the same thing. Essentially, we got a prophecy from Momonosuke's mother. About 20 years in the future, there will be 9 shadows who will teach Wano and the Shogun of the Dawn. And so here we are 20 years in the future, so these 9 samurai should appear. My guess right now is that it's going to contain at least Luffy, Zoro, Kanjuro, Kinemon, Raizo, Okiku, and then we have a couple spots open. This could be for Hitetsu, this could be for the new character that we see in this chapter, Kiyoshiro, who seems to be some kind of proponent or supporter of Kinemon's cause, or at least an enemy to the Shogun. And I mean, given that Law has a sword, Law could be potentially part of this group as well. Either way, it'll end up with 9 samurai. There's definitely a reason why Oda is not letting Luffy get rid of the sword, because that sword is the only thing that makes him a samurai. But yeah, let's backtrack just a step and go back to the prophecy that Momonosuke's mother made. First off, I'm curious as to how she was able to prophesize this. Is this some sort of ability similar to Charlie from Fishman Island? Like, I'm just curious to know the source of this power. But I guess more tangibly here as she talks about the Dawn. We've seen the Dawn mentioned now over the last several chapters. It almost feels like we're getting really close to Oda revealing more information about what it truly means and the Void Century. I'm debating on whether or not I want to make a video about this or not, but I think that there's just a lot of significance between opening the borders of Wano and the Dawn. These two things coincide. Oden Kozuki, after seeing the secrets of the world, immediately after attempts to open the borders of Wano. Whatever he learned at Raftel told him that this was right. To dream of opening the borders of Wano is to know of the radiance of the Dawn. I think I will end up making a video about this specifically, because I do have an answer and it relates to all my various Void Century theories, which I have talked about at length, but I haven't in quite a long time. The only other thing which I really want to talk about in this chapter is the identity of the teacher that we see in the middle of this chapter. We can see that she has a Devil Fruit ability, which, as was pointed out to me on Twitter, is most likely a mythical zone, Nure Ona, which is essentially exactly what you see here, a snake person with the head of a human. Or it could just straight up be a snake fruit, another variety or variant of snake fruit. That's definitely possible as well. But the reason I bring this person up is because I think they are important. How often do you see random fodder, beautiful teachers who have Devil Fruit abilities and are not significant? I just don't think that that's likely. Guys, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this person that we are looking at is actually a Calamity. I think that this is Kaido's Queen Calamity. It was stated that Jack is here in Wano looking over Oden's old territory. I think that we should assume that the other Calamities are here somewhere as well. It just kind of makes sense for a Calamity to be there, and maybe she has an odd quirk of also liking to be a teacher. Either way, guys, I just feel like Oda is trying to fool us with this guise of her being a teacher. I think that she's important, whether she's a Calamity or a very important subordinate of the Shogun. I think that we'll see this person play a major role in Wano. But you know, I lied. There's two other things that I want to talk about. When we see the grave site in this chapter, there are 11 graves in total. And before this, we are told of Oden's 9 red scabbards, which I guess were, his squad. 11 graves, 9 red scabbards suggest that 9 of these graves should be his previous subordinates. I don't think that one of these scabbards would have been Momonosuke or Oden himself, which kind of suggests that Momonosuke's mom might have been overpowered. Or if not, one or more of these subordinates were never presumed to be killed. They disappeared mysteriously somehow. And I think the best candidate for somebody like this would of course be Hyoshiro, who we see in this chapter. And so last but not least, guys, did anybody notice? Zoro disappeared. He was there and then he's gone. Where did he go? Our boy Zoro got lost as he was being carried by a mythical dog creature. Literally taking him to his destination, he still got lost. But yeah guys, sorry for the erratic thoughts for this chapter. Honestly, my brain is in all sorts of places right now because time travel is a thing in One Piece now. But as always, I am curious as to what you guys thought about the chapter, any theories that you have. Share your thoughts. Like the video if you like the video, dislike the video if you dislike the video. Make sure to subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content. And as always guys, have a wonderful day.